Hello and good evening. My name is John and I'm joined by
MPG.
and we are playing Ben Wanderer Presents A Case of Distrust, part of my Steam cleaning series, where I go through every game in my Steam library eventually, and then arbitrarily rate and or review after we go to playtime. We don't know what this game is. We're going to take this game out at random. Any guesses, MPG, right now?
Well, we're out of hogs.
We are out of hogs. There's a hog dearth right now.
We have run out of hog. We have exhausted the world supply. This is visual novel, I'm guessing?
I think so. I awoke in my desk chair.
All right.
Ooh, some nice little typography animation here.
Yeah.
Across from me were his piercing amber eyes. They surprised me at first, but I should have known he'd be there. This is a cat. This has to be a cat.
Okay, yeah.
Gonna zoom out, right? I stretched and said mid-yawn, not very nice sneak into a sleeping woman's apartment. His stare just continued. Ooh. All right, choice.
I laughed at his glare. He wants vittles.
I laughed at his glare. I've seen San Francisco's shrewd thugs, hardened cops, and deadly politicians, but none could ever match that gaze.
That's right, kitty face.
I love the animations they got going on.
Yeah.
Very paper. I don't know if paper has the right term, but like it feels very rustic. I knew I didn't have what he wanted. Reaching to my coat, I took out my knife and flicked it open. I gave him the knife. I held the knife steady.
Give the cat a knife.
Oh, jeez.
Kitty with a knife.
I gave him the knife, sliding across the desk. Look, that's all there is. Take it or leave it. The detective knows when she's beat, and I knew then. He wanted to search the place, and that's what he would do. I sighed, knowing my weakness for his type. All right, I said, let's look.
Yay, kitty.
He let out a gleeful meow in victory. I picked up the knife and cut a piece of my apple the cat had rejected. Always the sore winner. But I was smiling too, because I was telling the truth. There was absolutely no other food in my apartment.
I always smile when I'm so destitute I don't have any food.
Oh,
look at the old phone.
Oh.
I absolutely love the visual
on
this game. This reminds me of like the opening credits for like Cowboy Bebop. That was then Archer and Venture Brothers had, kind of played with.
Cat often dropped by to scavenge. He made a lot of noise when he thought I was holding out on him, but right now the place was clean empty. No food anywhere. I just had to prove it to him. But the small statue on the side of the table has been police evidence in a crime his owner had wanted back. I took a shine to it, so I snagged it for myself.
Is that the Maltese Falcon?
Yeah. Packaged cigarettes were the latest trend, but I still prefer to roll my own. The ashtray was evidence that it was practice skill. I suppose I had a lot of free time. The lamp had belonged to my Uncle Lewis. He'd been an SFPD officer, and he would argue policewomen could get good, and who argued policewomen could be good detectives, even while others jeered at him. I knew he'd be right, but my current workload didn't help.
I thought about Lewis.
I thought about Lewis more often than I wanted. I was lousy at handling the emotions behind those thoughts.
Aww.
Taking copies of the old murder cases from the SFPD records that I left. I loved reading them, even though my own contributions were minimal. That time I
loved reading about old murder cases.
Yeah, this lady knows what's up.
Yeah.
Another time I longed. There was no podcast back then. Truth was, any work was hard to find for a female detective.
Kitty.
The cat had walked to my apartment a few years earlier, kept coming back, though there was really a morsel. He continued his loud meowing until I proved there was place empty.
The kitty.
Doesn't matter how doe-eyed you are, cutie pie, we got no food around, I told him. He licked his chops and looked at me. Apparently he still didn't believe that. I needed to contradict him somehow. Show him something in the apartment that would prove it was empty. Oh. Okay, so this is like our tutorial.
Yeah. Find the fridge.
These are flopped on the floor. Headlines: Red Menace.
Oh, it's about the Bolsheviks.
A notebook filled with the brim. I wrote everything down, even minor details. We never know what we need. So, first half my old cases, second half my current.
Second half the current. Let's figure out what's going on now.
Thinking of my current bunk adultery case. The only thing I get hired to do. Whatever I find is my employees often refuse to thankless work even.
Back in the days when you needed proof to get a divorce.
Regular white ice block, tinged yellow with age, half blocked the kitchen doorway. My income rarely kept it much stocked in it, and right now it was empty. I think we got our information.
Yeah.
Let's contradict.
Yes.
Good transitions.
Yeah. Look, cat.
Show the cat has no. Show us. Okay, there was no case just
evidence.
Then. That's not going to contradict. That's just icebox. I opened the icebox so the cat could see inside. Empty, I told. Cat looked quizzically at the open door, then back to me. Sorry, Bella, there's no grub there for me either. He stared at me with those eyes, disappointed as I felt. The bright, big yellow always got my soul. Thoughts of my family filled my head. My sister, my parents, but never.
Sister.
My sister. My sister Muriel has sent a letter with an update of her life in Chicago. She and her husband had just purchased a new home outside the bluster of the city. With 3 young children, woof, we're looking forward to the move. Never told Muriel, but these letters
kept me going.
Yeah, you're really positive today.
Yeah,
I never thought Muriel.
I got plants.
yeah. I never told Muriel, but these letters kept me going. Hear about my family, however remote, helped me cope with the isolation. I was used to accept myself back then, but perhaps Muriel had known anyway. My sister had an orderly lifestyle that I rejected. I wanted to. Oh.
To change the world, lady detective. Breaking down
Wanted
walls.
to change the world, to bring justice for victims, especially the ones who know. Not that I was helping advance that, because types of cases come my way. My mind spiraled into the usual series of questions. How have I even impacted the women's movement? Have I made any change in society at all? Was my plotting career worth losing traditional happiness? Wow, this is deep.
Yeah.
What's the point of life? I don't talk to my cats. What's the point in life I have chosen? Allow me out from the cat stamp. My thoughts back to the moment. I took a deep breath and grinned.
I mean, it is true. Cats are very good at pulling you out from when you start calling up your own ass. Like, cats do not care about that.
Yeah, guess you can scram now, I said. No one's gonna come knocking with food for
Poor
unless
kitty.
Immediately came banging at the front door. Beyond a nuisance, the cat was psychic too. You order out? I asked him. Oh, good trends. I love these transitions. Are so...
That's why I'm being positive with this game, is that this game is really bringing it.
I love the abstract, like there's no eye, like you can just tell this is like a sleazeball and they don't even put the eyes on him. It's just like that smile, those eyebrows, you're like, oh, anything in here is just so punchable. In the doorway was the regrettable familiar face of Connor Green. I stared, I looked past. His company churned my stomach. He is
a sleazeball.
Might have been his bergamot perfume, which hung around nostrils like lingering unwanted guest, or the sordid smile that was forever plastered on his face.
Hey, baby.
He stared at me through the door with a coy smile. Well, gonna invite me in?
Close the door. Close the door.
Started closing the door, but he struck out a foot to stop me. Hey, now, he tried it. Well, way to treat a customer, Malone. That was his angle. Hire me as a detective. I wonder what his bootlegger would need with a pirate eye, but he answered without prompt. I'll make this quick. I can't take this to the doghouse, or the pigs will just laugh me out. And the other dicks aren't as tempting. Grin widened. Though this was gonna be quick, I said as I started rolling a cigarette. It wasn't quick, and I already rolled and lighted a second smoke when Green finally finished the story. I noted the important bits of my.
All right, so he's a bootlegger.
Yeah, it started with a letter slipped under his door in a white. The envelope contained a single typewritten lead to me. It read, "End your game or we'll end you." It had no signature, instead ending only with a small scribble in the bottom right corner that resembled a black hand. Green had a lead on a new rum running scheme. Action from Vancouver. He given a sample to Tiny Paul, the gangster who ran the Tin Spoon Speakeasy for mob boss Jerry Ferry. Jerry Ferry? Good.
Jerry Ferry.
Jerry Ferry. They agreed to buy in for more. Green summarized the letter was about his rum running. I like how they're like putting the big notes in white so like it really sticks out.
Yeah.
He inspected the Redstone Stable, another bootlegger, of sending the letter. He told me that stable ran a barbershop during the day and gave me the address.
Where you could get bloodletting?
I guess, yeah.
So this is putting this in the 20s. Like if he's a rum runner, this is Prohibition era. So the women's movement was, they had just gotten the right to vote, or no, they might have gotten the right to vote, or might not, because Prohibition era was when we got the right to vote.
Right around the women's suffrage, yeah.
Yeah, because Prohibition was a women's rights issue at the time. It was just sort of a backwards way of attempting to solve the problem of women not having rights.
Yeah.
And Prohibition was sort of the clumsy first stab. So
Green needed to know who the threat was from. He'd get Paul's gang to deal with them and continue a scheme to get. I'd go snooping if I go snooping myself. He concluded. Folks, see, I'm not a trusting people. No trust leads to no customers. Need to play it low key, which is where you come in. Raised an eyebrow and stared at him through the cigarette smoke. Something in his yarn still twisted. Must have noticed my reticence, as he said, I work. What?
Sorry, reticence.
That's what I said.
It's reluctance, but yeah.
I work closely with Lewis. I'm sure you want to protect me as much as any other victim. My uncle was put me on the force. I was set to Lewis' death. These are such big questions.
These are great.
I love declarative statements. I really do.
Yeah. I'd finally accepted Lewis's death.
I had finally accepted Lewis's death. It has been the only conclusion possible. He had taken his own life. Only officer who let me walk the beat or do more crime scenes than he was assessing with helping victims and bringing justice to those beyond salvation. I'd quit the SFPD and started my own practice, taking his ethos to heart. Was Green worth my time? Would it be worth Lewis's? Green had tipped off my uncle in a few cases, and I wonder if that was enough to warrant my protection.
Okay.
Before I could think past my headache, he threw a bill in my lap. Keep the C note as a retainer. Don't worry about getting in touch. I'll find you later for a chat.
A C note?
Yeah. It's 100.
That's a honey.
That's a honey.
That's a Benji.
One hundo.
A hundo.
He turned down the hallway.
That's a lot of fucking money back then.
That was, yeah. He turned down the hallway and I let him go. If he was willing to give me $100 with no commitment, I wouldn't stop him.
I love it.
I turned back to the apartment.
This game is great.
This is great. I turned back to the apartment, still confused about the whole story. My headache wasn't helping either. Whether I lacked clarity, the trip to Southern Coffee was usually. So, this game is great. We've already declared this, and we're going to keep going a little bit. But like, what I love about this here is that they are doing so much with so little. Like from a technical standpoint, the spend on the screen is tiny. You know, the animations that we're loving are like a couple frames, but like it just hits in the right pacing. You know, the music is ambient and not like, I'm not trying to like
minimalist.
It's minimalist. Like you don't. It's not full orchestrated. Like it's just a few instruments, like just hitting those notes to like put the mood in. But the writing's good.
Yeah, but it's so stylish.
Yeah, and that really
everything about this just clicks perfectly. And like you said, like the declarative statements, like this is not whose butt do you want to touch? Like these are real questions that are going to challenge you as a player to really think about, like who is it that you're inhabiting and like what might your goals be. And I'll make a bold statement here. I don't think they're building like a 400 variable like player profile to have this all pay off. I think 90% of these declarative statements are just going to give you one beat and move on. Like they don't have to have full details, which like, you think about like the Telltale series where it's like, the cat will remember that. And it's like, maybe, but not really. Right. That's just it. Like it's the idea, it's kind of the illusion of choice sort of thing. But
is like, a huge, that works. It's like the illusion of horror.
All they want is just that ability to put their own thumbprint on something.
Southern Coffee.
All right.
Southern Coffee was a basement dive. It wasn't modern, hip, or even ever busy. And it was my favorite place to down some paint. Okay, language.
Some black.
Yeah, especially in the company of the best bartender in the city. Gave my address and slouched in the back seat of the taxi cab. I thought it was a good way to pass the journey. Might be to talk to the driver. Do you want to talk to the driver?
Yeah, of course. Chat up the taxi driver.
Asked about a shift and how much longer he'd be driving. Not all my conversation with the cab drivers were memorable.
All right.
Southern Coffee was.
You know what?
That's fine. Southern Coffee was like, not everything has to be a big deal. Like mundanity is reality.
Yeah.
Southern Coffee was an
Automat
automat
diner.
diner. Yeah. Ether Burgess, the lone waitress, was friendly to help with any inquiry, of course. Anyway, of course, if you winked at her right, she'd show you the way to the downstairs toilet where Frankie played bathroom attendant. What?
It's, yeah, the speakeasy.
Southern Coffee had a distinct feeling of home. The familiar smell of mold in the old basement was enough to put my grin on the face. Okay, so when we said coffee, we actually meant...
Yeah.
Once I asked Frankie to lend me some cash from the register, he growled so fierce I decided not to ask again. I don't think the employer would have noticed. Back. Kept a collection of pre-prohibition bottles on the shelf behind it. So, okay. Right.
Yeah.
These are actually like real.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's real. It's not rot gut.
Yeah. Frankie the bartender. Most genuine. Sacramental use only.
All right, we're gonna get into the
Do we take a swig?
wine.
Do we take a swig?
Oh, we're totally gonna drink some of the blood of Christ.
I grabbed the half-empty glass that he had been next to the bottle and swirled it conscious of my gums. A bit spicy, ain't it? Frankie said. It's good. Too much.
Too much. Communion wine is always so sweet.
So okay, this guy doesn't have eyes either, and the cat did. I wonder if that's like. Is that like that's like eyes are such a personal thing?
Yeah, I think that's I think that's the idea, is like not wanting to read too much into these people based on their profiles. Like you want the expressions and the text.
Yeah, well, the eyes lie, you know.
Yeah, it's true.
He scoffed and grabbed the bottle from me, turning it through his hands. I suppose you only like the bootleg paint. Well, I'll have you know that rabbis charge more than a nickel for this beauty. Only this type of Napa wine,
Spanish Shepherds,
made from the Zinfandel grape, is a unique aroma. I've been trying to learn more about wine. Seems everyone knows their stuff but me. I noted that what Frankie had said about the origin of the grape, about the only grape. Don't even drink. Since when do you know grapes?
Since when do you know grapes? A little sassy.
Some of those grapes are older than you, Malone, and I've known about them since I was a small tot. That's why I'm so good at my job, you know. Frankie sighed. The amount more folks can't taste them. That's Women's League is the devil.
League is the devil.
Oh yeah.
Women's Christian Temperance. So my husband, actually, his great aunt was one of Carrie Nation's like right hand lieutenants, and actually has like in the family there's a little like pin that she gifted that had a hatchet on it from when they would go and like break up whiskey barrels. Aren't you done with the sauce? He said,
I'm dry now, but I'm not done slinging it. He grabbed a bottle and twirled around his hand with surprising deft. And I have no right to stop others either. He put the bottle down, took a breath, and called to him, those women don't understand. Prohibition doesn't make anyone stop, it just makes them a criminal. Through that.
Yep.
Take a seat, he said, I'll make you something. He was a big fellow, he had a decent picture, he was a fantastic orator.
He was a fantastic orator.
Kind of orator, but knew when to be a good ear too. My money, there hasn't ever been, nor will there ever be, a more loyal bar. At the bar, you got the Spooks PC, he asked. You're worn as a catcher's mitt. I suppose my exhaustion showed. I want $100 for nothing, and I can't let it go. I told Frankie about the case, the threatening letter sent to Connor Green, how he assumed it was related to bootlegging, and a suspicion was stable. The story took longer than I wanted. Frankie showing genuine interest by asking many questions. When I finished, he threw for me whiskey sour he'd been stirring. It took a large gulp and gave a sigh. Well, Green's case is better than most of what you've given, he said with some enthusiasm. At least it's not more of that adultery bunk. Sure, I replied, but I started with a goal in mind. What's the point of helping men like Green? Frankie clicked his tongue on his teeth. Lawyer, priest, what's it matter? Let me ask you. Are the clients you have now the types you want to help?
I admitted they weren't.
I told him that I wanted more from detective life. It could be that Green's case shoots your career forward, Malone. I sighed and stared down at my drink. My days were interrupted by the basement door opening and then slammed. Oh.
Uh-oh.
A small, blustering woman began marching towards me.
She was wearing a
light blue cloche.
Cloche. It's the flapper hat. Yeah.
With the gray ribbon tilted back on her head, a scarf of a similar blue draped around her neck, but I startled by what she wore under it. A gray trench coat that looks too large for her frame, exactly like the one that had the long two.
Lewis.
She hurled insults at me a while. All I could do was sit and take it until she ran out of gas and started breathing heavily. I set my drink on the bar and looked her in the eyes.
I turned away.
I turned away as she was about to reset her tirade. That launched her even worse. She screamed, "Hey you, I'm the wife of that bum who sneaks into your bed." Cat?
Cat.
The humor wasn't her angle. She laughed, launched another poetic stanza. He just left your sty this morning. That's when I gathered she was Connor Green. Miss Green, I'm a PI, not a homewrecker. I don't think your husband, his line of business, want to bed a dick anyway. I feel like there's an entendre there.
Yeah.
Her look was pure incredulity. A woman in that line of work? She questioned. I don't believe it. To prove it?
All right, so I wonder when the word dick became a euphemism for male genitalia.
Oh, probably
like,
ages ago.
That's just it, though. Like, maybe not. Like,
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. Googling. No.
Dear Google, when is dick?
Oh, it's like, yeah. When did dick?
Maybe it wasn't that long because, like, you know, like someone had to sign off on like the See Dick Run, See Dick, whatever books. So, like, so like someone had to sign off on those, and if they knew what they knew, like maybe not. Do we prove? Yeah, do we step up and say that we? Do we let this fly? Like, do we care? Like, are we gonna go to bat against? Are we gonna like engage, or do we just not care at all about Mrs.
Yeah,
Green?
we don't care. She's
don't prove it. Who cares?
Like, yeah.
You don't have to believe it. I told her. Now you know my story. I want to know yours. Why are you here, Miss Green?
Okay.
Queen, sounding as entities, I understood part of her story. Apparently, she had seen her husband leave my apartment, and distraught, she had followed me all the way to Frankie's basement to come. She ended her tire at the waterworks, then her tears ruining whatever rogue she had on her face. Frankie, ever chivalrous to a dimpled girl, came around the bar and held her up. Now that's all right, Miss Green. Why don't I hail you a cab, send you back home? She agreed, and they walked together up the stairs. When Frankie returned, I said to him, "You turned to the night real quick." He started to laugh. Ah, hell. We can't have that siren in here. With a torture yelling like that, every street bugger would have come to her rescue.
Yeah, true.
Miss Green is a torch singer? Well, I learned she was a Mrs. Connor Green just now when she came in here. I've only seen her as little Fanny singing lead for the jazz band, the Tin Spoon, I said? Tiny Hall's joint? As for Green is selling his liquor. Yeah, you think that's where she met her husband? I laughed. You're a real sleuth, Frankie. A sarcastic bow.
1891, by the way.
Oh, okay. I shook my head.
So it would have
It was in place at this point, yeah.
Yeah.
You're telling me you scared a little torture out just to avoid a bit of hot water? Frankie flushed and said, "What are you talking about, Malone?" Never good with emotion, but it was plain that Frankie had instantly fallen for the girl. What if I had more to squeeze out of her? I asked. What could you possibly want from little Fanny? She can't have anything to do with us.
Contradict. There's a dame involved. There always. Yeah. Oh, evidence. Okay. Statements.
She was following her husband.
Following your husband, yeah.
Miss Green followed her husband to my place. I said, "Why would she do that?" Frankie rolled it. See, if you were Green's wife, wouldn't you trust him? Would you trust him anything? I'm sure he's always have something. I bugged and stuffed the bar stool.
Okay, so we didn't.
I don't know. Like I like the ambiguity. Like I don't need it to be like Phoenix Wright doing a objection. Right. Oh, like I'm glad it's like, no, you said your line, and life is not as simple as like here is a +1 to something.
Exactly. That's to me is like that's good writing. That is a good storytelling.
Move along.
I'm curious, like, how people actually like how your like average player is going to react to this, though, because I think people do people want games to be very straightforward and very clearly like you win or lose?
Yeah, yeah. What have we been thinking about?
About Little Fanny.
When thinking about little Fanny, I suppose even monsters that people cared about them and wearing Lewis's old jacket. Surprised Green and Lewis had been closer than I realized. I guess I'll take Connor Green's bait, I replied. I've got nothing better on the stove, and he might need the help. Something still stinks though. Plan, Frankie asked. Now, the way I see it, I have 3 goals right now. Green hired me for the job, find the guy who wrote the letter. That's the basic part. You want more, I said. I nodded. Green's a shady character. I have to learn about him. Who is this guy? Dig in his past. I can't go back to him blind. And there's something about this bootlegging. How did Green get a connection like that? What's his source exactly? Squeezing the lemon might give me more juice. It's a great phrase. That sounds all right, he replied. So where are you off to? I got 3 leads. The bootlegger, Green claims sent in the letter, the Tin Spoon Lounge, where I might learn about Green's rum running schemes, and Miss Green, who gave me more dirt on her husband. Frankie nodded his approval. Well, if you've ever stuck, come back and see me. You can never solve anything without talking it over. I smiled and went up the stairs. Okay, so he's like a little hint guy.
Weasel.
Yeah. Well. This game is classy.
This game is great. I highly recommend, especially if you are
into the noir.
Into noir, into detective stories. This seems like a perfect highly stylish, isn't dumbing things down for the player. Yeah.
I love it. Go there. All right. Well, we're gonna wrap up on this game here. I think it's great. I think people should check it out.
Definitely. This was a case of mistrust. Oh, we're getting chatty with the taxi driver.
Chatty with the cabbie, yeah.
Yeah.
Flavor. All right. This is tab and find out. This is a case of distrust.
Distrust.
Cheers.
Cheers.